If somebody is emotionally manipulating, whether this person is from inside Alcoholics Anonymous or not, if somebody's coming at me with emotional manipulation, here's what I do, whether it's in person, whether it's in my own head, whatever, because the dogma lives in our brain, right? We got to unfuck our mind. We got to remove the programming. Welcome to the Sobriety Bestie podcast. I am your host, Kirsten, and I am your friend here to talk to you today about breaking free from AA's emotional manipulation in our ongoing series, The Daily Dogma Detox. I joined AA in 2009 and I left AA in 2020. So I was inside Alcoholics Anonymous, true believer vibes for a decade, and I left AA 5 years ago. When I left AA, I immediately dove into studying emotional manipulation because I felt played, embarrassed, humiliated. And I wanted to be able to better spot the manipulation in real time. I wanted to be able to choose my own empowerment in the moment over victimhood. I didn't want to have to learn the same mistake again. I wanted to be able to see these ideologies coming at me in the indoctrination. So how do they get us into these high control groups? I wanted to know the tactics so I can protect myself. We're going to dive into it today so you can learn them too, and so that you can also be empowered AF with these with this understanding, because it's been super empowering for me to be able to see the emotional manipulation in real time. And this is not just inside AA or people from AA doing it once we leave, but it's also in general in life. Just to be able to be more aware of the emotional manipulation tactics, it's helped me. Well, first of all, I have to admit, I didn't realize when I was looking through all of it, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, now that I'm clear on what it all is, I will stop doing this, and this. I'm not perfect. I am here evolving alongside you. So I want to be a better person, month after month, year after year. So as part of my ongoing evolution, yes, I saw these. I was like, all right, great. I need to grow and be better. But also, really what was motivating me was, gosh, how was I so susceptible to falling for this high control ideology and going straight into this group and getting super brainwashed essentially and living by somebody else's ideas, like Bill Wilson's ideas, for a decade. I was there 10 and a half years. And yes, of course, AA helps a lot of us at the beginning, right? I stayed sober. Like I showed up on day 30 right out of rehab and I got to stay sober by believing what AA has us believe. But at a certain point in time, it's a glass ceiling and it can keep us trapped. And so when I left, I wanted to find out how I got coerced into this high control system. Okay, so here's my main trick that I do. It's very logical, rational, because I've studied the brain so deep. So I got sober in 2009. I started a business in 2012. I really wanted to help people with fear, help people with anxiety, help people in general. And I knew I needed to learn a lot about the nervous system because I was super emotionally dysregulated in general. I didn't know at that point that I was autistic and ADHD, but I knew I had a lot of anxiety. So I was very interested in learning how to turn my activated nervous system off to calm down. So I have been obsessively studying psychology and the nervous system for a very long time. And so here is my trick. I'll tell you what I do and I'll tell you how it works. And then I'm going to give you 3 specific things to look out for just to keep this concise and get you moving forward, a little more protected, a little more empowered, a little more motherfucking free. So here's what I do. I study the tactics, and then what I do in the moment when I'm experiencing it, whether it's on social media, whether it's in person, whether it's in my own head, whatever, because the dogma lives in our brain, right? We got to unfuck our mind. We got to remove the programming. So I label the tactic. I legit just say the name of the tactic. So when I label the tactic, I'm able to get free from it. It creates a space within me. So here's how it works. So if somebody is emotionally manipulating, whether this person is from inside Alcoholics Anonymous or not, if somebody's coming at me with emotional manipulation, so if I say this is gaslighting, I'm a lot more to be grounded in the moment and not swayed by the tactic than if I don't do that or if I don't recognize that. Especially like with guilt, when people are guilt tripping, I'll be in my head, I'll be like, this one's guilt right here. This is guilt. I usually don't tell the other person what the label is, right? But for me, it helps create that space between the emotional manipulation and it turns on my own critical thinking. And this is the biggest game changer. But I never really thought I'd be sharing about AA online, honestly, or using what I learned when I left AA and deprogrammed about studying all this manipulation while people from AA were trying to manipulate me because I didn't know I was ever going to talk about it and ever be faced with AA's high control again. I just didn't even know that was going to be a thing. But obviously now that I feel led to speak up, and my emotional manipulation literacy is serving me, and I can't not see it. So for the rogue members in AA, their control tactics are not working on me. I'm actually using their emotional manipulation tactics as learning opportunities for the people on the internet so that I can call it out. Like, okay, this is gaslighting, this is this. And I'll just like literally label it, or I'll label the cult psychology term, like whether it's ideological possession or some of the other terms that we'll be learning. So I label it in real time, and it helps create that space. So that's really what I want for you. And then I have a course for deprogramming. So people who want to actually go deeper with me through an on-demand and online course, and actually reclaiming your freedom, your life, your autonomy, and your mind, definitely from the AA dogma. And inside that course, there's a module called Freedom from Manipulation. And inside that module, there is actually a lesson that's called Recognizing Narcissistic Abuse Tactics in AA. This is a PDF as part of the course. There's 12 different tactics on it. I'm going to read 3 of them for you right now so that you just have some nuggets to move forward in your day with. So number 1, from this PDF from the course. Oh, by the way, if you're interested in learning more about the course, I'll link it below. It's a game changer. It's everything I wish I had when I was leaving AA and in the big mindfuck. Okay, so number 1 is gaslighting. You've probably heard of gaslighting, but here's what it might look like in AA. And of course, there's no rules. Everybody's going to have a different experience. So as I'm reading this to you, it's like what it could look like, right? So you are repeatedly told that your thinking is flawed, especially with terms like air quotes, alcoholic thinking, or being air quote in denial. When you question AA's approach or your own experiences, you are told that you don't understand your quote disease, which reinforces a sense that your perceptions and judgments cannot be trusted. You're also told, quote, your best thinking got you here, implying that you cannot trust your own thinking. The other one that I've been experiencing since leaving AA is people saying you weren't a real alcoholic, or no, nobody ever gets misdiagnosed in AA, or no, nobody ever diagnoses anybody in AA. And I'm like, okay, y'all, that's fucking gaslighting. So I'm not always telling these gaslighters that they're gaslighting. Remember, I think a lot of it is unconscious. I don't think people realize that they're doing the tactics. I know when I was in AA and doing the tactics, I didn't realize it, or even when I was doing the tactics outside of AA, right? Because none of us are perfect. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being able to protect ourselves. Really, for me, it's all about like authenticity and purpose. So we can be more of ourselves. We don't have to be swayed by other people's emotional manipulation. We could be grounded in our internal compass. Okay, so gaslighting was number 1 I wanted to share with you. Number 2 is love bombing. So probably have heard of this tactic. So here's what it could look like in Alcoholics Anonymous. As a newcomer, you are showered with support and attention, making you feel like you have finally found your people. This could involve AA members buying you their book. That happened to me. My very first meeting I went to the night I got out of rehab, somebody bought me a book and gave it to me and said, I bought you a book. Here it is. I am your temporary sponsor. And I was just like, actually, I don't want your book, and I didn't join. And she's like, keep the book. I already bought it. I'm going to call you. I'm your temporary sponsor. And I just remember thinking, I didn't fucking join. And at that point, I was really clear that AA was a religious cult. And I'm like, I don't want to join the cult. I don't want the book. I don't want a sponsor. But, you know, I kept going, and I really went back because of the kindness. So I definitely was love bombed. The women were so nice my first night there. And I just felt like people hadn't been kind in so long. Like I just like really loved the support and the sisterhood and the camaraderie and the hope I felt. So it worked. I'm not saying that this is wrong. I'm just saying it's definitely a tactic that's used inside Alcoholics Anonymous. I was invited for coffee to discuss the program. People were going out of their way to talk to me after meetings. You know, you raise your hand for the first 30 days as a newcomer. And so the love bombing can feel intoxicating, and it can make us feel special, but it's not fucking genuine. The attention fades when we're no longer new. And if we dare to leave AA, these people will shun us. That's why it's not real. It's because they are believing that they have to help you so that they can live. It's quite manipulative of them. Let's go indoctrinate the new vulnerable people so that we can get our daily reprieve. Of course, nobody knows that they're doing this. So there really isn't anybody to blame, because if you're not even conscious, it's like you're not really at fault. Nobody's driving the bus. So there's no driver. There isn't a driver. It's an ideology that's coming at us. And it actually helps. So it's super nuanced, right? Like, I do appreciate that I was love bombed when I got there. I just think it's helpful to recognize these tactics in and out of the rooms so that we can, be a little more independent, free, and empowered. Number 3, and the last one I want to mention in today's daily dogma detox, is control and manipulation. What this could look like in Alcoholics Anonymous is that AA enforces strict rules around behavior, thoughts, and attitudes towards recovery. You are told you must follow the 12 steps without deviation. Sponsors are positioned as an authority figure, and questioning their advice often leads to shame. Did you experience this? For sure, this is happening in a lot of the meetings, especially the ones I went to. Members may also attempt to influence personal decisions, such as your love life, telling you who to date or not to date. Your career, I definitely had that. Somebody wasn't even my sponsor, was telling me that I shouldn't go for a job that was in my line of work, that I should go work at the local coffee house. And while there's nothing wrong with working at the local coffee house, and I've certainly worked at local coffee houses in my day, but that was not the career that I had a master's degree in. That was not what was aligned with my education and my experience. It wasn't relevant for me at that stage of my life. And so it's just odd that people that you don't even really know are giving you love life advice and career advice when you're just trying to get sober. And then there's also, let's be honest, it's a bait and switch. You want to stop drinking, and they're like, yeah, you got to get God. So you go there to get sober, and they're like, yeah, you want sobriety, we want to give you God. It's all about higher power. Which also eventually I liked, but I didn't like it in the beginning part. So the medication issue is also huge here. So that's also part of the control manipulation, is that these non-professionals, non-doctors are giving medical advice about, do not take the pills your doctor described. You will not be sober if you take those pills. Those pills are dangerous. And they reinforce the idea that your autonomy is secondary to the program's demands. How many years do doctors go to school and study all this stuff? I'm not saying doctors are perfect. I'm not saying medication is the way. I'm just saying, if you're not a fucking doctor, you should not be telling somebody directly in a high control situation to get off their medication. It can be dangerous. Some of these have withdrawal symptoms, and some of these people, as we know, who have gotten all sorts of messed up advice within the rooms, are no longer alive today. And you got to wonder, like, what's going on here? So that's the control and manipulation. That's what I wanted to share with you today. As always, feel free to reach out. Let's make this a conversation. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your story, your thoughts on this episode, anything else that you want to share. Let's get up in here and talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about, because our freedom is on the line and you are worth it. There's more freedom available for you. And that's what we're going to be doing here day by day in this podcast. It is so great to have you here, and I'll see you in the next episode.